And this OBS stuff kills my computer. All right, well, you guys just let me know if it's totally unbearable. And maybe I'll just try again in the morning. Do you know what the deal is here? Anyways, we got a new exercise, hemming. So, I think I solved this in a different language at some point. But basically what we want to do is we want to determine the hemming distance between two DNA strands. And we'll have to figure out what that actually means. Write a program to calculate the hemming difference between two DNA strands. A mutation is simply a mistake, blah, 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 blah. By counting the number of differences between homologous DNA strands taken from, we get a measure of the minimum number of point mutations that could have occurred on the evolutionary path between the two strands. It's found by comparing two DNA strands and counting how many of the nucleotides are different from their equivalent in the other string. So the hemming distance between these two is 7 because 1, 2, 3, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hemming distance is only defined for sequences of equal length. So, it sounds like what we need to do is, given two strands of DNA, figure out how many of the characters are different. So this seems like not totally too hard to do. And we're dealing with character lists again, so single quoted strings, which is not typical in Elixir, but that's okay. So the distance between two empty strings. Let's just return 0, hard code. So we'll go back to the hemming distance problem. Okay, and we're green. Maybe I'll just shut some more crap down. I don't know. Next test. No difference between identical strands. This test is still going to pass with our super naive implementation. Still good. Small hemming distance in middle somewhere. So now we're actually going to have to do something interesting. I feel like I think I remember how I solved this problem when I did it before. So I'm going to walk through kind of how it worked. Basically what we need to do, right, is we're going to have two strings. Let's just copy these in. So we're going to have this string, and we're going to have this string. And we need to take these strings and kind of compare each pair, right? And anytime they're the same, we don't want to increment some counter. And anytime they're different, we do want to increment some counter. So the way I'm thinking to approach this is we need to basically get ourselves into a situation where we actually have pairs of these that we can compare, right? We need to kind of like take these two lists and imagine like each one of my fingers on each hand is an element in one of the lists. We need to kind of like smush them together like this. And there's an operation that lets you do that called zip, which is kind of interesting because it kind of looks like a zipper, right? So if we go strand 1, pipe that into enum.zip with strand 2. And actually, let's just run this first and see what the output is. Okay, so here's the two that are different, right? These are the pairs that we got. 71, 71, and these are the character encodings of each character. 71, 71, which is G, G. 71, 71, which is the next G and the next G. 65, 84, which is the A and the T. 67, 67, which is the C and the C. 71, 71, which is the G and the G. So now that we have that list, and that is a list of tuples, we can take those tuples and basically what we want to do is map those, I feel like. So if we do a map function, that's going to take like I never know what to call these intermittent variables. I always have a hard time, like when I just have some random tuple that doesn't really represent anything real, but it's like an intermediate step that I need. I never know what to call it. We'll just call it X. One day I'm going to talk to someone who knows Elixir well and ask what they normally do in these situations. So basically we want to map this into numbers, right? So either 0 or 1, depending on if there's a difference or not. So we can do this with a condition statement. So if we do cond do, we can say elem. Actually, we can map this. This is probably why I never have a good name for this. We can do this with pattern matching in the function definition. This is way better. Way better. Okay, so if A equals B, then we want to return 0. If in the other case, so like A does not triple equal B, we'll just call this the true case. We'll return 1. Okay, so basically this is saying this condition statement looks through each one of these conditions, finds the first one that's true, and returns that value. So if they're the same, we return 0. If they're not the same, which is any other case, so true is always how you access the default case, then we want to return 1. There might be a better way to write this in less lines, but we'll roll with this for now. And then we want to sum these, basically, right? So I feel like there's going to be some sort of function for this. So let's do Elixir enum. And I don't know if the sum operation will be on enum or if it'll be on list. It's probably more likely to be on list if it's defined. There's also a good chance that it's not defined and we'll just have to use reduce. Nope, sum. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So now if we just pipe this into enum.sum, I feel like that's going to work. Green. Okay, next test. Larger distance. Green. Hamming distance is undefined for strands of different length. So this is probably going to fail. Because zip isn't really caring about that. So I guess we can just do it with a condition for now. Enum.count strand 1 does not triple equal enum.count strand 2. do, this is going to be nil. And then I guess we need an else statement. So I'm not sure what the idiomatic way to do these sorts of things is, like the guard clauses. I don't think Elixir has an explicit return. Let's see. Elixir explicit return. I guess not, but does this pass the test at least? It does. So one thing that we could do is extract this out into a different function. It's kind of weird because what would you call it? So one thing I like to do in situations like this where I'm just like not sure how someone who's good at Elixir would clean this code up is try and find someone who's already solved it and maybe is better than me and see if there's anything I can learn from their solution. So this guy has a bunch of them, but this repo is like 2 years old and there's a lot of new exorcism stuff since then, and I don't know that he has this one. No, he does not. So if we search Elixir exorcism hamming, I'm sure we can find someone who's done it. That's not in Elixir. How did the person solve it in Ruby? It's not going to be that much different. There's no answer. I wonder if you can just browse other people's answers on exorcism.io. I haven't really figured out how to see other people's submissions. You don't have a login page? What are these notifications? Oh, someone's actually commented on my stuff. I don't know how they would even find it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it sounds like we have to submit our answer before we can see other people's, which is okay. So let's just do that. Exorcism, submit, hamming. It's kind of shit. Now hopefully we can see other people's solution. Oh, that's smart. That's smart. Damn, this guy is smart. Okay, let's talk about what this person did. Rather than being stupid like what we did, submitting this gross answer, this person just defined multiple implementations and pattern matched on them. So his first one, this is a feature I haven't used that. These like kind of guard clauses. Length is a built-in function. Okay, that's easier than enum.count. So basically, we want to extract these conditions into different functions. So this condition, he extracted it into a new implementation of Hamming distance. This should have been, I should have clued into this when I was saying what would we call that other function. We just call it the same thing, and we just make it match on a different set of parameters. So if we get strand 1 and strand 2, but what's the syntax for this? Okay, so when the length of strand 1 does not equal the length of strand 2, is it comma do? Yeah. Then we return nil. So that eliminates that condition, right? This is basically saying, here's one implementation of Hamming distance. If someone calls Hamming distance and the lengths are different, then this is the version of it to call, which always returns nil. So we can delete this and fix our indentation here. And now if we run those, I didn't mean to submit it, but that's fine. If we run them again, still green. They also wrote another implementation to quickly check the 0 case. So we could do something like def Hamming distance. And now we can pattern match by just saying that the two parameters are the same, which is kind of crazy. So we can say strand 1, strand 1. And now if you pass in two parameters and they're both the same, which means it can match against this parameter list, then we can just return 0, right? And what I've seen some other people do that I think I like is to actually be kind of explicit. So Hamming distance, same, and now you know. And we're good. And they had a shorter version of this too, so I'd like to see kind of what they did there. So they zip them together, and then yeah, that works too. So just reject the ones where they're the same and then count what's left. That's smarter. Man, I'm dumb. And I think not using the pipe for this actually reads nicer too. So yeah, if we just reject the ones where A equals B and then pipe those into count, it's the same thing. Way better. Damn it. Okay. Let's try one more. Phone number. All right, what do we got? Write a program that cleans up user entered phone numbers so that they can be sent SMS messages. The rules are as follows. If the phone number is less than 10 digits, assume that it is a bad number. If the phone number is 10 digits, assume that it is good. If the phone number is 11 digits and the first number is 1, trim the 1 and use the last 10 digits. If the phone number is 11 digits and the first number is not 1, then it is a bad number. If the phone number is more than 11 digits, assume that it is a bad number. Okay, I think we can solve this with a bunch of clever pattern matching. So let's just start with the first one. So the first test cleans number. They didn't say that. All right, so we have to do more than the friggin' README made it sound like. So this kind of ruins kind of some of the things I was hoping to do. So there's only certain characters that we want to strip. All right, so let's run the first test. All right, so how can we clean up this number? And this is a string this time, not a list of code points like we had before, since it's using double quotes. So I mean, the way that I would solve this normally is to split the string. Why is there all these functions defined here? So the README is like not even up to date. Okay. So we want to take the raw phone number. We want to get the code points from it. So that's going to give us a list of characters. Then we want to filter out any that are not numeric. Which I guess we could do with the regular expression. The problem is when we get down here, but I guess we can worry about that later. enum dot filter. So it's going to take like a character, I guess. And we only want to keep them if they match a certain regular expression. Elixir. There's a regex module. Okay, so seems kind of stupid to doing a regex match against like a single character. The thing that I've found kind of odd is there's no like easy way to see if something contains something else. Like I thought tuple might have it. Does enum have a contains method? I basically want to do the equivalent of like an array, you know what I mean? Invokes the function, it stops. List, like list wouldn't have it because it's implemented as a linked list, which would mean it's very inefficient to check that. Not finding a lot of obvious answers. So how can I filter it if it's not one of a certain number of things? Let's kind of see if like there's an idiomatic way to do this. Elixir. Check if list contains item. Did you see, is there a string contains? This kind of seems not like the right thing to do, because we're going to have a single string, and we want to check if it contains, sorry, a single character string, and we want to check if it contains one of any of these other things. Like, I want to check if it is one of them. You know, I kind of want to see what this says. So there's this programmer idioms site where you can see the solution to like common problems. enum.member. Jesus. All right. Member. Checks if element exists within the enumerable. I still don't know if this is going to be any good, because we have to do enum.member, and then basically we have to pass a like a tuple of code points that are like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we can't use like a range operator because these are code points. Char. I don't know. Let's just run it and see what the output is. Enumerable is not implemented for. Okay, so we'll make it a list instead of a tuple. Performance is worse, I think, but. Huh. That's not what I expected. Why does string.codePoints give me single character strings instead of a list of code points? It's quite unusual. Returns all the code points. Huh. Alright, I guess that means we can make these quoted. I mean, yeah, this doesn't feel like the right solution. But that's okay. Okay, so we stripped out the non-numeric characters. The problem is this is going to break down when we get to this other test where like it allows digits. So we might actually want to reject on a different list. So instead, let's reject brackets, hyphens, spaces, and dots. So we're going to do open brackets, close brackets, space, dot, hyphen. And let's move this over here because this isn't till a later test. Hopefully you get the same answer. 23. You're piping into a function call without parentheses, which may be ambiguous. I don't really see that happening personally. I'm pretty sure I'm piping with parentheses. Is it the space that it's unhappy about? Yeah. Okay, so you're not supposed to have a space. Okay, so we have this new series of digits. Let's try this one. Should work too. Oh, I guess like we didn't even get the first one passing, did we? Because we have to join them. Pipe that into enum.join. Okay, next one. The thing that I'm disappointed in is that we have to do all this stuff. I was hoping we could just define a bunch of different versions of number, but with different pattern matching characteristics, but we can't because this cleaning operation is going to be kind of the same for all of them. I've seen one convention of creating private versions of the same function that you call after you do some shared code, but I don't know if that's idiomatic or not. I'm trying to learn how to do things the way that an actual Elixir programmer would, and sucking at it. So valid when 11 digits and first is 1. So all this talk about valid is really bullshit. Like, I thought it would return true false, but instead it returns the thing. Now the other thing that sucks is I almost would rather that these were lists instead of strings, because it'd be easier to work with, like the char lists. Anyways, this one's going to fail. Because we're not stripping off that 1. So why don't we define a private function called clean number and move this stuff down into that. So we want to clean the number. Now, what the hell do we call this thing that's going to strip off the 1? Let's get rid of the join. And why don't we just make like a... Like a join. I don't know. Let's call it like display. Fuck, I hate having a hard time naming these stupid things because I'm just creating functions because that's like the best way to organize the operations that I need to do, not necessarily because like they have good names available. Like, I'm not joining these because of the fact that I want to pattern match in this next function to determine what should get returned. Like, maybe like join digits, except the thing is it doesn't just join the digits. It's going to join the digits and clean them. So clean number is not even really doing it. It's like get digits. clean and join. You know what I mean? Like, this is terrible. Okay, clean and join. And this is going to take in a list of digits. So we can just return enum.join digits as our first implementation. And let's just make sure the other ones are passing. I tried to run fucking PHP in it. Muscle memory. Strip country code. Yeah, strip country code isn't bad. I guess what I want to decide is, like, do I want to split the digits and then kind of pipe them through some operations and treat it as a list and then just kind of join it at the end? Or do I want to do it as a string every time? I think I want to use a list whenever I can. So, all right. Yeah, let's just call it strip country code. I like that better. Strip country code. And I think we can actually, I think we can be more, okay, let's do split digits. Strip. We'll just call it clean digits or something. To kind of strip these ones out. This is feeling better, I think. So we'll split the digits, which is going to take basically just a string and just return string dot code points. This is going to take digits. And get digits is actually clean digits now. So quickly, let's just kind of revert for a sec and make sure that our other tests are still passing. No, I made a mistake. Forgot to join. Okay. So the last thing that we want to do is an enum.join. Okay. So, stripping the country code. It's going to fail. And now what we want to do, I think, is define two versions of strip country code. So we'll have strip country code that just takes in digits and just returns digits. Actually, does it matter that the length is 10? Valid when 11 digits and first is 1. Okay. So if we define another version of strip country code that takes a head and a tail, and the head is going to be the number 1, and I guess we want to say when length digits equals 10. Cool. So if it starts with a 1 and the length of the tail is 10, which means it's total of 11 characters, then we just want to return the last 10. Otherwise, you know, if that's not the case, then we fall down to this pattern. And here we just return the actual thing. I guess we want to say when length digits is equal to 10. And yeah, we'll get there with these other tests, I think. So there's no strip country code for this, so It's 11 digits. And what do we get for the output? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so strip country code digits. So in any other case, we actually want to return a list of 10 zeros. So I think there's a string repeat, string duplicate. So we can just say string.duplicate, and it's the string then the amount of times. So 0, 10 times. And does that actually convert? It does take it into a string. So that's not what we want. We want a list. We want a list, a list, a list, a list. There we go. List.duplicate. So that should pass that one. Okay, pass that one. Invalid with 9 digits. I think our implementation we just wrote for strip country code will handle that. Yep. Invalid when proper number of digits but letters mixed in. I feel like this is just going to work. Yep. Test area code. So area code is just going to get the first 3. Is this longer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So this is cool. We can do this with pattern matching. Okay, so area code is just going to return enum dot, I think it's enum dot take. Let's find out. Yeah, enum dot take 3. Raw 3. So this will pass the first one. No? Enumerable, not implemented. Oh, shit. Okay. So, I guess we just have to pass it through split digits. Raw, split digits. So the thing that sucks is it's hard to pattern match on this now. So this is a pattern that I'd like to learn what the right approach is. Because what I was originally thinking we were going to do is if area code was a list, we could pattern match on a 10 character one and a 11 character one, kind of like we did here. But to do that, it's like we need another area code function. Like area code needs to just do this. Okay, let's just do something like this. Instead of enum take 3, let's define a function called like extract area code, which is really stupid. But it's the best I can think to do. And we're just going to take the first 3 digits. Still green, still green. So the next test where we have an 11 character one, it's going to fail now. So we need to pattern match on a different one. So, I mean, let's just one line all of this because it's super straightforward. Because this is literally going to be the same thing. It's just going to be 1 as the head, tail digits, when length digits is equal to 10. Should pass it. Yep. Next one, pretty print. So, I mean, I guess we can pattern match on the length of the string. Oh, so it's gonna chop off the country code. All right. So we're gonna do something like raw strip country code, raw split digits again, strip country code, and you know what actually would have been neat? We could actually call this area code. The only thing is we need like a when clause to check if something is a string. Elixir is string. If we go here, I think they have a section on the when clause. Might be in cond. When? When is number. All right, I feel like we can do like when is string. Cannot invoke local is string inside guard. Elixir. Okay, so we can't call is string, which is kind of crazy, but we can do is list. So what we can do is we can move this down here. And we can just say when is list digits. And this can just be area code then. And then it's kind of like polymorphically dispatching to the right one. Function area code is private. Okay, so we left this test that we haven't actually solved in there. So let's just make sure we actually are green though. Okay. So that's kind of cool. I wonder if we could have done something similar for any other cases, but back to the pretty printing. So now I almost feel like what I want to do is I want to like recursively call pretty, but it's going to call it on a different pattern. This is kind of neat. I don't know. I've never written Elixir quite this way before. I'll delete these specs. So we split the digits, we stripped the country code, so we're going to be left with a list of 10 characters. So if we do pretty digits when is list digits do, how can we do this string concatenation in a sane way? Because basically we want to inject some it's probably like an enum or like a list slice or something. Yeah, slice. Are these exclusive ranges? 5 through 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so it's an inclusive range. I haven't used ranges yet, so it's kind of cool. So I guess we just want to do like something. This is fucking gross. Digits 1 to 3 or 0 to 2 plus closing brackets. Is this site supposed to be able to, like, these comments don't even match this stuff. Okay. Space. Plus. Again, this just feels so gross. And that's going to be 3, 2, 5. Plus that array. Plus enum.slice. Digits 6 to 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, that's too many. 6 to 9. And then we want to put all that nasty shit in brackets and pipe that into enum.join. It worked though. Same with this one. Digits is unused on 41. That's fine. Okay, I really wish I could think of a better way to do this. I mean, I guess you could do like some sort of fancy zip. So if you did like some sort of array that was like, I mean, you could even do like a string with like placeholders, right? You could do like, I don't know what placeholder you would use, but what's a good placeholder character? Underscores or something? It's like 3 of those. Or spaces even, it really doesn't matter. And you could like split that, and you could do like string dot code points of that, and then you could do like enum dot zip with digits. And no, it doesn't even work either. I don't know, it's all shit. Whatever. Okay, let's just submit it and see how some smarter people solved it. Exorcism. There probably is a sprintf. I just like, I guess we'd have to do still this same sort of crap, I guess, which probably wouldn't be that bad. Elixir sprintf. That's like a separate library. Anyways, let's see what smarter people than me did. Oh, this guy's smart. Okay, so he basically does the same thing we do too. Let's pull ours up side by side maybe. So he has raw, clean, validate. So to clean it, he strips out stuff based on a regex. We split it first and then just reject any of these specific characters, which is kind of the same deal. I do not know. Is this pattern matching on string concatenation? Okay, so if it starts with 1 and then it has number and number is 10 long, return the number. Otherwise, if number is already 10 long, return the number. Otherwise, it's a bad number. I mean, it's pretty similar to what we have here. I guess 10 zeros is a little bit shorter than duplicating it 10 times. But that's fine. But his solution is actually basically the same as ours so far, which is kind of interesting, except he never splits everything into a list to work with a list. I feel like working with the list is more intuitive than working with the string. But still, okay, area code. Raw piped into number, and then slice off the first 3. What's number? Oh, could we have piped that into our own code? Yeah. That's clever. But what did we do? Yeah, that would have been smart. So if we just did this, Is there not a better function for that? Yeah, it still passes. I thought this was kind of neat anyways, so let's just leave it because why not? It's overkill, but I don't want to just copy someone else's answers. I'd rather have this for reference. What else? Okay. The pretty printing one was the one that seemed the most interesting, right? So pretty printing. So digits equals number raw. Okay, so this is just cleaning up the raw into a string of digits. And then he's just using string interpolation. So it's not really any different. Okay, so, I mean, his solution was pretty close to ours. This is James Edward Gray. He hosts the Ruby Rogues podcast. Or, I don't think he actually does anymore, but he used to be on it a lot. What about this dude? Regex. I don't find the regex based answers that compelling, honestly. It's not as interesting to me. Man, what the hell does this do? All right. Well, that's probably good for now. I'm glad. Well, not glad, but it is somewhat good to know that there isn't a completely obvious, amazing solution that we missed. But yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go to bed, and maybe we'll do some more of this tomorrow. See ya.